Welcome back to Kart Rider Drift League. 2 of our 3 matches of the day have gone to the distance. They have gone to ace matches. And as we move into our final of the day, Aura versus ROX, we'll see if that's going to be a 3 for 3.
3 for 3 is absolutely what we're aiming for. Aura and ROX, these two teams are so evenly matched that we could definitely hope to see that as we see the members of Aura coming in. Aura, known as a team right now to be one of the best in item modes. Their coordination is through the roof.
Yeah, and this is really important when you consider that their opponents are one of the worst teams in item modes in terms of the ones really in the running for postseason. So definitely gives them a slight edge tonight. So if they can snipe a win in speed, then maybe this ends up being a 2-0 win for them. But ROX Esports, no slouch, no easy opponent to face here. Again, one of the big underdogs of this tournament, and an esports organization that has a lot of history, even internationally, across multiple titles. This is a team that has been around for a long time and has a strong lineup of players. We'll see how they perform tonight, because both of these teams are sitting at 2-1. The winner is going to take their 3rd win and move up to our top 4.
We have Vega, Dutzy, Strong, Spell, and Planzy, and Jung and Vega, these 2 players coming in from the KRPL, the mobile version of Kart Rider. We had some concerns, but Jung so far has been so great, absolutely dominating in performance so far.
Yeah, I was a highly ranked Rush player, and I can tell you those skills do not easily translate to PC. It's a different world. As you can take a look at some of the stats here for this roster, you know, fairly middling compared to the teams that we saw in our first series, but I think this is a team that people really do consider to be a dark horse here, and they're just letting everybody know the team's roster once again a little bit more directly, as Knock has actually really been such a key part of this roster. Jong, wow. We're not going to the ace match.
So this is putting actually respect on Jung as such a dominating player in the ace match. He's been winning every single one so far that he's played in the Kart Rider Drift, and also won most of them in the KRPL.
Yeah, both of the wins for ROX were in the ace match where Jung was able to take it. They haven't been able to win a single match 2-0 just yet. But maybe tonight's the first time that happens. If the item mode is improved for ROX, we could definitely see it happen. See in terms of attacks per minute here, kind of middle of the pack right now at 6th place. But it's been all about Jung's performance when it comes to the ace match and what this team has been able to do with that. If we could see better performance in item, maybe we don't go there, as they're currently 1-9 in that game type.
And you can't forget that when it comes to item mode, Aura has Tech, who is known to be one of the best players in item mode. So ROX, they definitely cannot afford to lose speed mode, because that's where they're supposed to shine. We have here saying, "You're too old to be called, oh, it's time to retire." Oh, ow.
This is a Korean joke, guys, because Aura in Korean is aura, and you can see the explanation of ow in the English part there below. So a bit of a deep joke here to try to explain on the on the English broadcast, but I think it's a very funny taunt, and we'll see, because these 2 teams are so evenly matched right now. And you have to expect that if ROX drops out here in speed, as we take a look at the tracks, that maybe Aura could take this 2-0 because of their proficiency in items, as we are headed to Terracotta Twister, New York, Rickety Rails, Zigzag actually making it through, very commonly banned, and then Boostwood to close it out.
Feels like Aura chose all of the hardest tracks that are always banned out. I wonder if that's a strategy that they purposely focused on, you know, practicing so that they can make sure to take those round wins. However, from the bans, Aura, they didn't like Bayside Bridge Run, which we got to see not too long ago, Desert Pharaoh's Pass, while ROX, they have a completely different strategy, taking out Village Boom Hill Tunnel as well as Construction Chaos.
Yeah, very unusual to see Bayside Bridge banned away, just because it's one of our more standard tracks, one of the ones where I think both your high skill ceiling is showed, but also just the basics are shown. It's very often picked actually as the first track going into these best of 5s, which you see is so cute, that sign says. We'll see how great his play is going into our first track of this best of 5 on World Tour Terracotta Twist. Here we go, starting things off on Terracotta Twister. Jumping into this first round. I shortened it. I shortened it in the intro.
I'm sure nobody caught you because it was very clean regardless. So far, ROX leading out Becca and Jung, the KRPL duos in the front. And honestly, ROX, this is a team that we're looking at to win in the speed round. Otherwise, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they certainly are. And so far, so good here. But Dizzy has actually been pushed back quite significantly, so not a lot to sweep for right now. And even though Jung and Vega were holding 1-2, not going to be able to hold it forever here as Knock is knocking at the door quite literally.
Yeah, a lot of fantastic blocks coming out now, going into these tricky turns. So far, every single player managed to do them perfectly. No falls happened so far, so the ranks really didn't fluctuate.
Well, not really. Very close still here. They could actually get Na'Vi into a position to challenge Vega. That is their best bet right now, as here he comes, trying to look for a draft here, and it will actually set this up with Hero. They're actually working together, Hero and Na'Vi, to chain these drafts together so they can get the faster approach here and save Nitro.
Yep, and we see Jung still leading the pack strongly for ROX. That hasn't changed, but Aura's strategy is to make sure that the 1-2 cannot happen, and 3 being held by Hero is also really helping keep Aura ahead. Vega trying to come in with the draft, but unfortunately got booped by Nuck.
Jung here still holding that first place spot, but not alone going to be enough here as Vega really needs to push through. Na'Vi trying to threaten him right now. If he gets any collisions here like that, it's going to be really rough for ROX. Well played by Aura here, just barely in the lead.
A crazy body fight happening right now between Vega and Nog, making sure that the 2-3 is still on the side of Aura. This is looking really close. Jung still maintaining that rank 1. No, it's actually Aura now with the 1-2 with Nog and Hero. Jung, can you... Oh, no, he couldn't dispel the 1-2.
Vega just a little bit too far behind, and this was a very close race. Constantly a shuffles happening around the top 5, honestly. Vega just not able to actually control as long as he would have liked to, and Dutzy unfortunately ended up being kind of a non-factor in this one because he's the one who actually has to challenge and break that up. And with a slight lead going over to Aura there, you know, he needs to actually come over there and break through that, but he's unable to, and then some really aggressive plays from Hero do win out the day. A close race here, all coming down to that final stretch of the track, but ultimately Aura are going to take the first one.
Right, the second Jung lost that lead in first place, that was the window of opportunity for Aura to go for a 1-2, and they managed to block it out. It was looking really close at the end. Jung taking the tighter turns, but he just didn't have enough boost and the distance to make it happen.
Not this time around. Let's see what happens when we go to our second track here. I think momentum is certainly going to shift. Completely different track here as we move to World Tour New York Rally.
We begin our round number 2. Aura ahead 1-0 over ROX.
Yeah, and see if ROX can bring this one back. New York is a very crazy track. There's a lot of aggressive turns you have to take, and you can move between wide open areas like this where you could choose left or right side, or a lot of tighter turns where things get very narrow, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of collisions happening in the bottom 4. However, in the top 4, it's 2 players from each team. We have Dutzy and Vega, meaning Jung, he's actually the one all the way in the back, and you don't want to see that if you're ROX.
No, certainly not. Jung really needs to turn on the heat here and catch up. They even use a Team Nitro to get into position here, but a lot of collisions actually in this choke point, and this is actually going to favor Aura quite a bit because they're the ones in control right now of this top 5. 3/5 of it belongs to them, and Naka's coming in here trying to cause some disruption for Dizzy and Spell. If either of these players fall behind, Aura's going to be in firm control. And here comes Nok taking that aggressive inner. Now they've got top
Dutzy.
3. Ooh!
Dutzy with the huge collision is going to set him back. Now there's only Spell for ROX trying to keep up some form of lead. Now even Navi coming in, I'm sure Navi's going to throw in a crazy tackle to get Spell out of the way.
And this is potentially disastrous for ROX. I mean, now breaking through becomes so incredibly challenging here. It's going to be on Spell to try to come through.
Navi with the huge blocks, keeping Spell and Dutzy at bay. Now it's that 1-2 formation for Aura, looking really good all the way into the finish line.
Yeah, not even close. And, I mean, this is an aggressive win here. for ROX, the first round a lot, or rather for Aura, the first round a lot closer for ROX. Aura taking the second one in a 1-2-3. You know, 1-2 is the win condition, but having top 3 means that not only is your sweeper being successful, but he's not even disrupted himself. Like, he's unchallenged in his sweeping. And when you consider the narrative we've been telling about how this team is an item specialist team and ROX is a weak item team, to crush speed this aggressively does not bode well for how the rest of the series could look.
The match result says it all. Jung, a strong member of ROX, especially in the speed modes, he needs to be in the front playing that runner position. However, he fell all the way back into 8th place and finalizing his round as 7th place. He was unable to catch up once he took a huge crash, and I feel like ROX cannot afford any more of these mistakes because they are down 2-0 and the next match could be match point.
Certainly could. Mine rickety rails here is going to be where they have to turn it around, or Aura is going to take speed 3-0. And off we go. It is time to prove yourself, ROX here. You know, one way or the other, if you can't prove yourself here, you're going to have to prove yourself in item mode. We've only won 1 round this entire tournament, so a very testing situation here now they've put themselves in.
Hero, Navi, and C strongly in the lead for Aura right now, but a lot of members are currently bunched up together. A lot of congestion in the air. Dutzy trying to get across, but C's was able to block him out.
Yeah, and it's a 1-2 lead here right now. Nock actually trying to get in position to challenge Dutzy. Then he can continue to be that sweeper we saw him be in round 2. Jong held on his heels, excuse me, though, and he's going to break through. Nice draft here and actually uses it to pull ahead. But yeah, Nock still actually continues to block him, and the more resources are used here by Nock to actually prevent this chase, I mean, this just firmly solidifies Hero and Seiz's position.
Wow, yeah, Jong really committed his booster to try to get ahead, but Nock was able to block him out. Jong, however, manages to find the beautiful lines to go ahead and cut across everybody. Now he is the only hope for ROX to try to break the 1-2 formation from Aura.
Yeah, you get some advantage at a team booster here if you're Jong right now, but he alone getting top 3 isn't going to mean enough because he needs to break this 1-2 and needs Dutzy or Vega to actually join, and so far they've just been unable to. An aggressive wide angle turn here from Jong actually creates some collision and just continues to push the lead here, and Aura are crushing this right now.
Jong taking the tighter turns, but he did collide into the wall. They're losing a bit of that speed momentum. Now the gap has gotten even bigger
and
for
Nock's
Hero.
Still here.
Nock, can you do it? No. Seems like Aura's just gonna take this one free.
3-0, very one-sided speed mode here by Aura. Not even close. I mean, this was really just better performance from the runners here from Aura, and Jong having a bit of an off day right now. And it feels like everything is stacked against ROX right now, considering your strongest mode is speed. You just got 3-0'd on speed. You're then going to have to win item mode, which is your worst game type. And then Jong is going to have to show up in Ace Match when he didn't show up in speed. So it just feels like right now Aura is playing with a stacked deck. The performance we're seeing from Nock in particular on the sweep as a sweeper is just phenomenal. And this team looks great tonight. They are on form.
Today has been a day of upsets. We've had so many teams performing better in areas where we thought statistically they weren't that great at. So now it's ROX's turn to hopefully be able to say that, hey, actually, we improved their item mode. So we're going to be able to compete with Aura despite them having Tech, one of the best players in item mode, because I really want that 3rd ace match.
Yeah. Planzy is the item ace for ROX, and you have to imagine that he will be subbed in before we move into our item mode, but there's a lot on the line here for ROX. All your momentum is going to be taken away. Here's Tech, as you mentioned. His name is Iun Tech. That's where the nickname comes from. Navi will be out, and you know, this is where things get really, really dicey.
You have to hope that ROX is able to pull something crazy out of their hats, because ROX, they need to show that Planzy is able to keep up with Tech, and that's a hard task because Tech, this player is known, he has a nickname called a Tech, because he's able to utilize those items in an offensive way so well. His shot calling always on point.
And here he is, Plansy, going to be subbed in, Vega out. And Vega had some pretty decent performances in speed, but ultimately wasn't able to close the gap over Nock, who completely denied him. And you can see the pressure is on here on the side of ROX Esports coming into this one, because this is your weakest mode, and there is a lot of variability, right? There's a lot of, you know, things that you can't necessarily plan for in item mode, but having your whole series be based on that really does feel rough. It feels like Aura also with a huge momentum shift here with a 3-0 start. Like, how can you go into item mode not feeling amazing after what was such a dominant 3-0 as well?
And we can take a look at the item track list. We see that My Magma Cavern was the first pick by ROX Esports. So there is that one little positivity that ROX needs. At least that first round is going to go hopefully in their favor.
Yeah. London Knight, Mushroom Caves, Polar Halfpipe, and Cogwheel Crush will be coming through, as Aura actually choosing both London Knight and Polar Halfpipe. London Knight, very rarely actually seen, very often banned, actually. So we'll see that one for the first time in a while. And in terms of bans, we see Icebreaker, Istanbul, Brody's Gloom, which can be a very chaotic one, and Pharaoh's Pass taken away. So ROX, you know, this is it. This is when you have to prove your improvement, or this may be the first series tonight that doesn't go to ace. Now, I hope we have a good one here on items, but we have to set expectations that unless we see a monstrous performance from ROX, this one might be over very quickly.
Monstrous performance we're looking for from Jong, especially as the runner for the team. Hopefully Plansy will be able to give him the backup he needs in the shot calling. Our first round will begin in Mine Magma Cavern.
Start your engines, here we go. Round one for item here between Aura and ROX. Aura currently leading 1-0 in this series.
Aura, they have a UFO, or more like EMP wave, all the way in the back. A lot of items to cycle through so far. Not a lot of high value items.
Hero gonna get knocked away here. Won't matter, of course, in our first lap very much, but did look very cool.
Yeah, it did look pretty cool. I love how the Magma aesthetics really come into play on this track, as we see Aura with a pretty dominating 1-4 currently.
Yeah. Did see a lot of damage going into the ROX players early here. A lot of resources being used as both Aura's cycling to get good items is coming through, but also using it very efficiently. You don't always get to cycle easily while also getting control of top two. A great way to finish the first lap.
Right, and the item ace for Aura Tech is pretty strongly in the lead. However, the UFO is going to be able to knock him back just enough for Dudsy to catch up. It is looking like we are at the second lap, and we have a lot of nitrous on the field, but not a lot of angels, so we are lacking the defensive options.
Yeah, this is not ideal here, but Plansy is keeping it competitive here up at the front. They're going to use their second angel aggressively in our second lap here to try to get a little bit of a positional edge, because right now the numbers are definitely favoring Aura, the items as well, as Tech is holding on to that magnet, does have an EMP as well, being the stronger item ace so far here in this first round. See if he can hold on to that position as he's knocked back.
He's taking the lead now, using that opportunity. Dudsy popping a shield. It seems like a shot calling has happened, but so far, Angel's going to come out, be able to block out the missile. Now we have Plansy strongly in the lead.
Jong has magnet boost combo. He's going to try to use it here, last 300 meters.
Here we go, Nock coming in, but there's Jong and C's coming out. Look at the speed of C's.
And ROX were just forced to use their tools a little bit too early, and it was really efficient the way that Aura used their items to cycle to get control early, and so many of the tools that ROX needed to use to try to actually have a fighting force to use that Nitro and Magnet combo had to be used so early to just maintain position. And sometimes we see teams play it slow and wait for that final moment and use an Angel with the boost coming through, stuff like that. Aura, not really. They just were actually getting item efficiency the whole time.
That is exactly why Aura is known as one of the best teams in item mode with their item ace tech. They don't really opt for going for a lot of these offensive items when it's not needed. They always wait when the timing is right. And the way they do it, it really works because they keep winning these item modes.
They certainly do. Things looking very dicey now for ROX is item mode always comes down to the moment where the first player crosses the finish line, right? But in this race in particular, I feel like there was never really a moment in which ROX was threatening Aura. You could see at the last moment here, they tried to go for the combo, and you did see Jong attempt to magnet boost his way through, but had to use it a little bit early because they had so many players blocking. It was just a clean finish there.
Yeah, the Nitros coming out from C's was absolutely perfect in a way to secure that lead for Aura, but now moving into round number 2, it will be World Tour London Night.
Well, guys, we had a bit of a glitch when we tried to enter London Night. Unfortunately, we're going to have to remake the lobby, it seems, and no real major issue here, but sometimes you got to do a remake, and no one's play affected. Of course, you guys didn't miss any of the action. We just didn't actually start the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of a setback. I'm sure that our players are still going to be composed and ready for the race. You can see the members of ROX looking composed, just simply thinking how they're going to strategize their items this time around.
Yep. The Korean term for this is ribang, where you just remake the lobby.
Right.
That is what we are going to be doing here. So it is time to get everybody settled in. We'll have this lobby not deleted, but left, abandoned, and then a new lobby will be made with the same settings. So just be patient with us as we go into this. And we have had a very smooth tournament thus far, very few technical issues. And regardless of what game you're playing, sometimes these things do crop up. There's a lot of Aura fans here. Again, one of the big dark horses for this tournament, and they are performing so well so far here tonight.
Aura definitely a hot contender for that third place spot. And the fans are definitely happy.
Yeah.
Waving, smiling. I really hope that Aura is able to continue their dominance. It would be crazy if they go 6-0 against ROX in total.
Yeah, that is a possibility. Like, we're really looking down the barrel of that, feeling like it's the most likely outcome. We'll have to see a huge change here in London if this actually is going to be a turnaround. It's Hero fan here coming in, and it's a situation now that ROX find themselves in where it's going to be a series I think every ROX player remembers if they bring it back. You win the next 2, win the next 3rd, then you go 3-1 an item, you win your first item mode of the tournament, you win the ace match. It feels like it could be a huge turning point for this roster. So one way or the other, it's going to be a memorable night for ROX, the night they either get crushed or the night they really turn everything around.
And they absolutely need to get to that ace match because so far their only victories came from ROX going all the way down to that ace match and Jung coming in clutch for them. Aura, on the other hand, they definitely don't want to face Jung in an ace match. So I'm sure they'll be wanting to close this one out and using tech. We've seen so many fans for tech today in the crowd. Everyone knows that this guy is big brain in items. And so far, his stats also line up. He hasn't been dropping a lot of games in these item modes.
Yeah. Where do you get your happiness from?
Yeah, when ROX wins. Win no matter what.
Yep. It's going to be a tall order for this fan to get what they're looking for tonight. But it is not impossible. It is not over till it's over. We have remade the room, and the players are all set and ready to go. So we are really, I promise, going to start now our second round of item mode on World Tour London Night.
The Kicking off item mode round number 2. Aura 1-0 up against ROX.
Yeah, this is a really tense situation for ROX. If you have just tuned in, if you haven't been following, they have lost speed mode 3-0 and are now down 1-0 in items. Hero, the good start here, will be UFO'd. Barricades avoided. And right now,
wow.
Dizzy, I mean, he's had the best start that ROX has had, honestly, this entire series. See if he can hold on to his position here. He's got a shield.
Yep, the missiles being shot so much in this first lab as we see Spell going for a completely different route than I usually see people take. That's a nice strategy because he's now rank 1.
Yeah, if you are able to get away with this without getting hit by an item, it does feel amazing. It's a very risky choice to make, but when everyone's trying to conserve items going to the second lab, if you force an item out, then it feels nice. You're obviously going to be able to avoid all sorts of water bombs too. And he's able to, without using an item, take a nice risky shortcut and pull up to top 3.
Definitely a nice move there, but we see now the ramp coming up, but no player has the momentum to be able to actually shoot up into the top half of the map, but it doesn't really matter because players, they want the item right now.
Yeah, Hero's going to take that greedy attempt to go through the Ferris wheel himself and actually will be successful. With the rest of the crew goes with him. Actually, it looked like it was only him, but it was a large group of players who went there. C's going to hold on to first place here as Hero's actually going to look for a deeper item. Unfortunately, does come up empty, so not getting what he was looking for there. And Jong finally in that pole position, in the position to actually say, all right, I'm going to carry this one through if my team supports me.
But not anymore because Tech had the tighter line. Jung took a really extra outer line, and that cost him his position. Now 2 members of each team contesting the top 4. However, the magnet's now coming out.
Yeah, they can use the magnet to get some momentum over this drawbridge. 200 meters to go. Can Dizzy crack that finish line? No!
Hero.
Oh, so close. It's at moments like that, it's so hard to track, actually, who's going to take the advantage with all the magnets and nitros going through.
That's the moment.
That's the moment, right? And everybody's going over the drawbridge, and it looks like, okay, this could go either way. But once again, in the final moments, Aura do take control. I think this is the best fighting chance we've really seen from ROX and Item.
Right.
But it's still not enough, you know, and that's the frustrating part of this.
Yeah, Jung, he was in that top 2, but he got knocked back all the way to 7th place. Plans, he tried to do what he can, but it was Hero who came in clutch for Aura. Now they're up 2-0 in a mode that's so favored for them. ROX really feeling the pressure now.
Yeah, ROX now need to win 3 tracks of item mode in a row. They're now 1-11 on said item tracks.
Oh, and there's a player.
Yeah, I think his ID is Boomer, and he's looking to, he's a very popular player these days. May join Sensation, sounds like, from what I was told by our producer. So another new and up-and-coming player coming to watch here. But is he going to see the defeat of ROX at the hands of Aura 2-0? That is what we're going to find out right now as we move into Forest Mushroom Caves. Match point here for Aura as we head into our 3rd round of items. Hanging back, picking up some OP items.
Oh, OP indeed, a magnet to be able to boost into whatever ranking he wants. And this is a 2-lapper track, so we're going to have to see a lot of players going for the items and maybe even conserving them in the first lap, because this is not a 3-lapper.
Yeah. Ooh, some great item usage here, though, from Aura, getting both the lightning off early into that water bomb to actually secure C's a nice position. It's Jong, however, though, for the moment is contesting with him in top 2. This missile not going to connect with either of those leaders.
And now we see Plansy and Dutzy strongly in the lead for ROX, but if we look at the itemization, Aura, they pretty much only have mostly nitrous and 1 magnet, so Aura, they definitely need some better items coming into this final lap.
Yeah, ROX in a really nice spot here as Duzzy's actually going to try to connect with C's here, and they are going to be able to get with the lightning here a little bit more control. Now, you know, if you can't win with this much of a lead, we do have to start asking questions, as a missile will connect actually, and it's now Dutzy alone.
Whoa!
Oh, Knock living up to his name here.
Yeah, he knocked right into Dutzy, and now he is contesting for that top 2 spot. Seas and Chung following right behind. But wow, the members of ROX are speeding really fast. A missile coming out to break the momentum of Chung.
Oh man, the banana also avoided because he was so close. He actually dropped it over his head. This Dutzy isn't going to get hit by that water bomb. He needs to stay in first, but he's UFO'd.
Oh, UFO coming in so clutch. Now, Tech and Knock in that 1-2. They are feeling really comfy. I feel like all Knock needs to do is knock Dutzy back.
Dutzy just has to use this double nitro here
There
and not
it
get
is.
collided. But look at that collision. Great call out, Peter. That's exactly what he wanted to do here, Dutzy. Getting magneted.
No! But Knock manages to still make it somehow.
Oh, he just got magneted at the last second, man.
The magnets, man.
Dutzy's just like, I'm just trying to win. My nitro was good. I'm on top of this guy the whole time. I spent the entire race in first place, but there's too much item usage coming out from Aura, all tied together. As a magnet pulls him back at the last possible moment. I mean, we always talk about last possible moment, and this is one of those situations where you got Spell and Plansy coming up through as Dutzy takes all that aggro and is pulled back to 7th, but Nox still is able to come through. Look at it. 0.085 is actually the distance between those two in terms of time here. And this is it. Aura takes it 2-0, 6-0, +6 to the round score after this phenomenal one-sided victory. Only Live Sandbox until this moment was able to have a +6 victory, but it's going to be Aura who gives us our second.
This is honestly a shocking upset today. Aura doing so good, and we saw here Knock being able to keep Dutzy at bay and buying time for Tech, but Tech fell off. Somehow Knock manages to make it across with the magnet.
Yeah. And that same magnet, you know, giving a lot of problems to Dutzy, who had such great control, though, in what seemed to be an improved setup here in item for ROX, but it's just the end of the story, you know, for tonight's game, and I really didn't think that this was going to be the end. This simply, I thought, you know, what I said, but before we went to break, was like, okay, this is the one that goes to ace no matter what, right? Like, this is the one that's going to be the closest one. This one's going to be super hype, and then I was like, but you know, because I think that it could be a one-sided match. Well, the results speak for itself here. Aura just with a dominant performance tonight. Everybody's showing up when it matters most here. Such an important win.
Yeah, day 6 of KDL proving to be the day of upsets. Every single statistics that we tracked so far pretty much said what happened today wasn't going to happen, but it did. And at this point, there's not much we can do about it. The rankings have already been adjusted. ROX, our third pro team, along with Live Sandbox and Guangdong Freaks, is unfortunately going to drop in the rankings now.
Yeah. And the only part of this that really felt like it was according to script, according to stats, was the 3-0 here in item mode. And, you know, maybe with everything else that's been flipped today, we thought there was a chance ROX would turn it around. But we're now looking at a team that's 1-12 in this mode. And, yeah, it's a mode that has a lot of variability. It's unpredictable, but, you know, usually that pushes teams closer to the 50-50 mark. But having this glaring weakness is going to be a problem for ROX in days to come. You can't always rely on Jong carrying you in the ace match if you can't get there against teams that are specialized in items. And ROX still has many tough opponents left to go. Not saying this tournament is doomed. I'm not saying they're not going to postseason, but they look a little bit exposed at this point, Peter.
Yeah, and both Aura and ROX are teams that after today, their schedule is completely filled with pro teams. So we're talking Live Sandbox, Guangdong Freaks, some of the toughest teams here in the KDL preseason. They are going up against them. So you have to be worried for ROX. While on the other hand, for Aura, maybe you're excited now. They may be the dark horse.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people were looking at Sensation. Now Aura's coming up. I know William's been really excited for Aura. I think this team has the stuff, man. And item mode, being able to kind of take item mode and break it apart and say, I know exactly how this works. I know how to be the most efficient in those first 2 laps on a 3-lap track, for example, like we saw just now. Those are the kind of things that really push you ahead of other teams, because item mode can be so difficult to prepare for. It can be so chaotic. And I think for some teams, it's easy to actually give up on that aspect of the game and focus on speed and go, yeah, item, maybe it's a 50-50. We've got an incredible ace in Jong. Seems to be ROX's approach so far this tournament. But unfortunately today, you lose 3-0 in speed, there is no ace match.
Yeah, that's exactly what I talked about with Will as well. You cannot have a glaring weakness going deeper into the preseason. We can take a look at now some of the results for the day. In match number 12, it was actually Guangdong Freaks taking a upset victory over Live Sandbox.
Yeah, it was a very close series, really coming down to one small mistake from Neil in the ace match, and World, up and rising star, making it happen here for Guangdong Freaks after, you know, a little bit of an unfortunate roster issue for Live Sandbox gives Guangdong the speed 3-0. Very close series, though, and then, you know, later on we did see what was a more chaotic best of 3 here between FINALEe and Sensation. And Banana coming up big in item allows FINALEe to put Striker in the driver's seat. His one fatal attack wins them the series, their first of the tournament.
Yeah, and it's your favorite moment of the day so far, Wolf.
Yeah.
I know you were really impressed by his turnaround, knocking out his opponent. And honestly, when you're able to take such risks in a really high-pressure situation, it highlights you as a really high-skilled player.
Absolutely. FINALEe, they still have a long way to go, but I think that the momentum is definitely at its highest point. They have a tough remaining schedule. They have had arguably the easiest schedule, actually, of all of our teams. And they were at least able to prevent the 0-4. And this is our final series of the night that we just finished.
Yep, it was Aura versus ROX, but it didn't go to set 3 like a lot of us expected. It was actually a one-sided 6-0, and what a showing from Aura, honestly. I don't think that this is a team that a lot of people looked at and was like, okay, this is a team that's gonna make it into top 4. But so far, they're seeming to be the one most likely to do it, along with some of our strongest teams.
Indeed. So, we're going to take a look at the broader standings as Guangdong Freaks will actually pass Live Sandbox, and with Aura taking a +6, notice their round shoots up to +15. They've been such a dominant team, minus the one loss they took earlier on. They also will be, of course, albeit with an additional game over Live Sandbox ahead, but even if Live Sandbox win their next series 6-0, they still won't pass them, actually. They'll put themselves at +14, so it's a pretty massive lead right now for Aura over Live Sandbox. So tonight's upset really, really hurting Live Sandbox's chances of taking first. And you got to feel for Sunga, you know, who's injured and is watching at home. I think definitely playing a large part in the loss tonight.
Right, and we have ROX standing to keep that 4th place position because you want to be in the top 4 to have a chance to move into the postseason. So far, teams like FINALEe, Sensation, Reboot, and Planet, they are down. However, Planet and Reboot, they have a chance to play on the next time we have a broadcast, and I'm sure that if they get one more win, it's really going to shake up the competition for that 4th place spot, and things are already getting so heated up in the preseason.
Whoever wins between Planet and Reboot will pass ROX by default because of the -8 score for ROX. So that's going to be huge if Reboot can take that win tomorrow, or Planet if they could upset Guangdong Freaks. So I say tomorrow, it is of course Saturday. I always think about esports as the next day, but it is of course the following Saturday on the 22nd. And we will have the first round of 16 match.
Finally.
Yeah, so finally we're going to take a look at these solo players here. This is a stacked group, by the way. Like, Cool is in the same group as Luning, who's my big dark horse pick. Summer, extremely young player. Insu, World, Hyunsu, Kosu, who's returned to pro play. It's stacked, to be honest with you guys. It feels like a group of death to me.
We started with 2 group of deaths, and now we've already consolidated the group in half. So at this point, you only have the best of the best left. So we're so excited to bring you guys the solo match. I'm sure there will be a lot of upsets and even really strong players keeping up their momentum.
Yeah, that is going to be extremely competitive. I think most of our groups had some pretty big gaps. You know, we had oftentimes our bottom 3 players really significantly weaker than our top players, but I think that as we moved into now top 16, it's going to get a little bit more interesting. It's definitely going to be a little bit more back and forth. But that's going to do it for us for tonight. We'll see you guys on the 22nd for those matches we just showed you. See you then.